devotion and just a moment in the Word. You know, I was thinking about problems. I'm going to Virginia to visit with my sister. She's got a cancer now that is really trying to take her life. Many of you are dealing with health issues. We've got the problem of COVID, the issue of a divided nation. We've got a lot of problems. And so I asked the question in the broadcast title, Problems or Purpose? Question mark. Because really the truth is that our focus determines whether or not our problems are just that, just nothing more than a problem, and an annoyance, an irritation that we have to deal with, or are our problems something that God can use in our lives for His purpose, for His glory. And so I thought of Romans 8:28, and we know that God will cause all things to work together for good to those that love Him, to those that are the called according to His purpose. But that doesn't really mean much, because the way we tend to think of that is that, well, everything that's happening in my life can work out for the good. But that's not what it's talking about. That's not what it's focused on. You see, the focus of Romans 8:28 is verse 29. For whom He foreknew, He also predestined to be conformed to the image of His Son. You see, Romans 8:28 means very little to us unless we look at verse 29 and the fact that God is using all of our problems for His purpose to conform us to the image of His Son, to shape us into the image of His Son. I think of Job, who went through terrible times, lost his livestock, thousands and thousands of heads of cattle and camels and sheep, and I mean, just incredible loss of wealth that he lost everything. Then he lost his children. They were all taken in a major storm, and his friends accused him of some sort of sin against God, and it wasn't that. And his wife said, why don't you just curse God and die? And in chapter 23, he says, God knows the way that I take, and when He has tried me, I will come forth as gold. And Joseph, who really gives us the Romans 8:28 and 29 of the Old Testament, tells his brothers when they discover who he is, now the second man in the kingdom, the brothers who had sold him into slavery, he looks at them and said, you meant it for evil, but God meant it for good, to save lives. Problems or purpose? You see, the reality is, folks, everything in our lives can be used for the purpose of God, but it depends upon our focus. It depends upon what we are focused on. Are we focused on Christ and the Christ who lives within us, the Christ who wants us to look like Him? Far too many Christians live their life. We need to focus on the purpose, being conformed to the image of God's Son, being made like Jesus. So if you're in the wondering what's going on, just remember, all things to work together for good to those who love Him, to His purpose. And what is His purpose? For those He foreknew, He also predestined